This first video is all about what's called Mary. So the first question you need to look at is describing the key events in Mary's life. Okay, well the first one, all right, begins with A, is the Annunciation. And this is a key event because it was when Mary accepted God's offer to be the mother of Jesus. Okay, now another one that's really key is the Immaculate Conception. And this is the belief that when Mary, not Jesus now, okay, when Mary was conceived, that she was conceived without original sin. Okay, so that she was perfect, so that she could house Jesus. The next key event is the virgin birth. Okay, and this was when she gave birth to the incarnation, to Jesus. Another one is the Assumption, which is quite similar to the Ascension. So Mary did not die, okay? She did not die, and instead she was raised to heaven, okay? She was raised to heaven by God, body and soul, to be with God forever. Now, another sort of key event in Mary's life, you could mention about the fact that she was present at Jesus' death, all right? And that's important because it shows the sort of love and sacrifice that she went through. Or you could mention about the visions of Mary that we've studied as well. Okay, so you could say about she's appeared in places like Lourdes. All right, so that was, whilst not specifically in her life, is still a key event where she was present. Now, the next question is, describe how and why Catholics honour Mary. Okay, or yeah, so how do they honour her? Now, remember, you mustn't say love, because it's love thy God and only God. It's not love, it's honour. So, how is Mary honoured? Well, let's start off straight away. We go to Mary Immaculate High School. So, first things first, all right, schools and churches are named after her. Why? Because it shows special dedication to her, all right? The next one is they pray the Hail Mary, all right? Hail Mary, full of grace, essentially means, woohoo, Mary, you're amazing, all right? So, that prayer that's said on a regular basis really raises her status and acknowledges the amazing stuff that she did. The next one is that people pray the Rosary, okay? And in the Rosary, you've got 53 Hail Marys. It takes a long sort of time, all right, to say it. So you can say that that shows real dedication to Mary. You spend a long time sort of doing that prayer. So you're really honouring her. You're really recognising that what she's done is special. So therefore, you are willing to give up your time to pray to her, to praise her. All right. Next one, you've got going on a Marian pilgrimage to places like Lourdes. Why? Well, this is where that was called that a lot of sort of, it could be the events in her life, all right, where she supposedly took place in the Holy Land, or in Lourdes where she appeared, all right, and that's a way of honouring Mary because we show special devotion to her at these pilgrimage sites, all right. So it's like the Torchlight Marian procession, if you want, something like that. The next thing, all right, is through art and statues, okay? So there are statues of her, what's called made, that help us to focus on her and celebrate her contribution. So type of thing could be like the Eloisa, all right, that we've spoken about. The fact that shows the tender touch, all right, of Mary, okay? The final thing that I would say is feast days. Okay, so we have special feast days of the year, such as we celebrate Mary Immaculate Day, but that's actually the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. So on those days, as Catholics, we celebrate the unique and important contribution that she made to our faith. Right, so why is she important? Well, we've kind of covered quite a lot of this, but we can simplify it a little bit easier. Now, why is she important? Number one, she's important because she's the mother of Jesus. This is because, all right, she gave birth to Jesus, okay, through the virgin birth, all right, and which is obviously, it was called really important, show dedication to God, all right. So therefore, that is why we have feast days, okay, such as you could say Christmas, all right, and also the Immaculate Conception that really celebrates sort of the fact that she is the mother of God. Now, the other thing then, the second one, is that she is not just the mother of God, all right, but she is our mother too, okay? And this is because if what's called God is the Father and Jesus is the Son, okay, and she is Jesus' mother, then that must make us brothers and sisters with Jesus, okay? Because God is our Father, all right? God is our Father and is Jesus' Father. Well, therefore, we must be brothers and sisters with Jesus. Well, that makes Mary our mother too, all right? So, therefore, when Catholics feel that they can turn to her like a parent, okay? And they can make prayers of supplication to her, asking her to ask God to help us. And that is what happens, particularly in places like Lourdes, okay? Now, this links quite nicely with the next answer. She's important because she is the intercessor. And this is because we can ask her, okay, to ask God to help us. It's one of her roles. Now, and the reason why it was called that we can do this is that she has that close relationship with God, so he would be more willing to listen to her, all right, if she was speaking to him rather than us, because of that sort of unique and close relationship that they have. So therefore, Catholics pray to Mary, things like the Hail Mary, the Rosary, or private prayer towards her, or going on pilgrimage, all right, to sort of try and link with her, all right, so that she will go and then ask God, all right. We can turn to her just like we would like a mother, okay. And the final thing, all right, is that she's important because she gives us an example to follow, all right. And this is because she accepted God's plan. All right, she said, yes, I will give birth to Jesus. Even though, I mean, if Joseph hadn't accepted what she did and accused her of adultery, I mean, she could have been stoned to death, but she still did it, okay? She still did it. So, when it comes to your answer, you say, this is because Mary was willing to accept God's plan despite anything that could happen. She was willing to follow him, all right? And as a human being, it's easier for us to be able to follow her example rather than Jesus's, okay? So therefore, that is a reason why Catholics have sort of like statues of her to remind us of her example, okay? Or on feast days, we have feast days about the type of things that she did in her life, all right? Such as during the Annunciation, that we have those feast days to remind us that of her human example that we can follow in our lives. So that's why she's so important. Now, some people would say why we shouldn't think that she's so important, all right, or that maybe that we shouldn't honor her as much, all right, because if we get asked, Catholics should not honor Mary, we can say yes, we can, because of all those reasons I just gave about why she's important. But the reasons why they shouldn't. Now, first reason that we shouldn't show devotion to Mary is because we should focus our devotion to God, not Mary, okay? And the reason for this, all right, is that showing devotion to Mary takes away our time that we could be showing devotion to God. And we were told to show love to thy God as being the most important thing that we must do. So therefore, right, people who felt this way would focus on sort of their prayers to God, right, directly to God, whether that be through personal prayer or through the Our Father, rather than saying the Hail Mary or praying to Mary to get to God. The next one, okay, is that the reason why we shouldn't honour Mary is that some people worry that when we honour Mary, actually we are showing her love, all right, which goes against the greatest commandment. Now, this is because we are told that we should only show love to thy God, all right? And some of the practices that we do, okay, or some of the prayer that we show to Mary could be suggested by being, what's called as showing love instead. So therefore, these people would argue that when we pray the Rosary, and it takes about 25 minutes, well, that is more time that we would spend in prayer, typically, okay, than what we would spend praying to God. So if we're praying more to Mary than we are to God, does that suggest that we're saying that she is more important, or maybe that we are showing her love rather than God? Some people would argue that is the case, okay? So they would say that therefore, these people would say maybe we shouldn't say prayers like the Rosary, and instead should just focus on praying directly to God, because he's omnipotent and he's omnibenevolent. He can hear our prayer, okay? We don't need to go through Mary. And you could write a whole new paragraph about that as well, right? About that, why we don't need to pray to Mary. Well, maybe she isn't necessary, okay? As the intercessor, God is omnipresent and omnipotent, so he can always hear our prayers, all right? But I would say the best two about why we shouldn't show devotion or honour Mary. Number one, it takes away our time that we could be spending, what's called showing devotion to God. And secondly, it could be considered as showing love to Mary, which breaks the greatest commandment of showing love to only God. Because the amount of time that we spend, praying to Mary could be considered to be longer than what we spend, to God. So therefore, could be argued to be showing love to Mary. The end.